"You're just a cleaner," she said. Her voice echoed off the polished marble floors like a slap I'd felt before, loud enough for the guests to hear. Her friends in sequin gowns, her mother with her perfectly arched eyebrow barely hiding that smirk. The chandeliers above trembled with laughter that felt like knives. My name is Griffin Ward, and tonight I was humiliated at my ex-wife's charity gala, a night that was supposed to be about giving back, but really it was about reminding people like me where we belong. I wore my best suit, black with a subtle sheen, the one I'd saved for big moments, and still I felt like an imposter. I'd pressed the cuffs, polished my shoes, and even combed my hair back the way she used to ask me to when we were together. But I could already feel the difference between us, the way her gaze slid over me like I was part of the decor, the way her mother, Mirabelle, shielded her grin behind a wine glass, as if she didn't want the cameras to catch her delight. I saw the glint in Elena's eyes, the same glint that once pulled me in, and now burned like acid. Security shifted beside me, their posture tense. I'd been in this ballroom enough times when I was her husband, when she'd parade me around as her +1. Back then, I was part of the narrative she curated, the one where she was the benevolent visionary with the supportive husband. I'd cleaned up her mistakes, paid off her debts. In those early days, I worked double shifts to help her launch her brand, carrying samples to trade shows, staying up late to format press releases. Now, I was nothing but an obstacle, a cleaner, a joke. I felt my throat tighten as she stepped closer. Her lipstick, a crimson line slicing across her face. "Griffin," she said, drawing out my name like she was tasting it. "This is a private event. We don't need the help tonight." Her voice dripped with honey, but her eyes were cold. She knew exactly how to twist the knife. She knew how to play to the crowd, to make them see me as less. Her friends, the same ones who used to share dinners with us, laugh at my jokes, beg for favors when they needed them, were suddenly strangers. Lexi, with her too-tight dress and sharper tongue, let out a giggle that spread like wildfire. "He's just the janitor, Elena. Maybe he's here to clean up the mess." The crowd laughed, and I felt my face flush, a heat that rose from my chest to my ears. I wanted to speak, to remind them of all the nights I'd been the one behind the scenes making things work. But the words stuck. My hand clenched around the invitation, the golden cardstock now smudged and bent. I wondered why I'd come. Maybe some foolish part of me thought she'd look at me and remember. Remember the man who stayed up with her all those nights when her dreams were just that. Dreams. The man who believed in her when no one else would. But all she saw now was someone to humiliate. I took a breath, trying to hold on to what little dignity I had left. The music swelled, some string quartet playing a piece that felt too elegant for a room filled with people who'd laugh at a man like me. I felt the weight of every eye, the collective hush that said, "Watch the janitor walk out." Then the ballroom doors swung open, the hush deepened, into a silence so complete I could hear the clink of ice in a glass. Heads turned. Even Elena's smirk faltered. My eyes followed theirs. And I saw her. Sloane Morrow, my wife. The woman who'd built an empire with the same grit I'd always admired in myself. Her gown shimmered like a sunrise over deep water, the color shifting with every step. But it wasn't the dress that made the room stop. It was her presence, radiant, unafraid, a force that made every other figure in the room shrink. She walked with the confidence of someone who knew every eye was on her, and liked it that way. But her eyes were only on me. The moment she reached me, she rested her hand on my arm. The crowd's whispers surged like a rising tide. I felt the warmth of her touch, solid and steady, like an anchor. She tilted her head, that small smile that always said she was about to change the game. Is there a reason my husband is being asked to leave? Her voice sliced the air with a precision that made Elena's carefully curated world crack. I felt my breath catch. She'd said husband, loud enough for every single guest to hear. Every socialite, every investor, every leech that once fed off Elena's success, now stared as if they'd missed the most important detail in the entire room. Elena's lips parted. The color drained from her face. "Sloan," she stammered. "We didn't know." Sloane's smile didn't waver. "Didn't know? That's a curious oversight, considering Griffin's investments have supported several of your foundation's initiatives. Considering he helped build your brand from the ground up." Her eyes, a piercing steel gray, never left Elena's. "Tell me, when did success become an excuse for cruelty?" The room fell quiet. Even the orchestra's strings faltered, the musicians glancing at each other. Even Lexi's laughter had died on her lips. I felt like I'd been holding my breath for years and had finally exhaled. Sloane's hand tightened on my arm, as if she knew the war I'd been fighting. For the first time that night, I felt taller. I felt seen. Elena's mother, Mirabelle, took another sip of her wine. Her eyes darted between Sloane and me, calculating. But no one dared speak. Sloane leaned closer to me, her voice low, but strong enough to carry. "Let's go. We've given them enough of a show." She turned, guiding me toward the doors. The same doors that moments ago had felt like a prison gate. But now, they were an escape, a new chapter. As we walked out, I glanced over my shoulder one last time. Elena stood there, stunned, silent, small, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel the need to clean up her mess. Tonight I was done being their janitor. I was Griffin Ward, and for the first time, I knew exactly where I belonged. I turned the invitation over, looking for the catch. Maybe it was a mistake. Some administrative error. But my name was there, handwritten in perfect script. Mr. Griffin Ward. That felt intentional. Like someone wanted me there, or like they wanted to see what I'd do with the invitation. Curiosity tugged at me, but suspicion was louder. I'd been burned by Elena before. Burned so thoroughly I could still feel the scorch. She didn't make mistakes. Not with things like this. Everything about her life was curated. From the shade of lipstick she wore to the color of her Instagram highlights. She didn't leave room for accidents,